She still prepares his plate at dinner. Every evening, Amy pours a glass of water and sets it on the placemat, just as if he were about to walk in. For all the time that has passed, a sacred part of her routine expects Ty to come home. Oh, when season 19 began, showing her mending a fence in the quiet dawn, no one could have braced for what was about to unfold. But to truly grasp why the look on her face nearly shattered the hearts of millions, you have to remember the quiet emptiness she navigated without him. Amy Fleming never really let go. After Ty's death in season 14, the very soul of Heartland felt different. The series didn't just write off a character, it lost its anchor. Amy and Ty had weathered every storm side by side. They were just kids when they met, growing into adults who built a home, a business, and a family with their daughter, Lindy, all of it founded on a love that was both tender and tough. When Ty succumbed to complications from a gunshot wound, Amy wasn't just widowed. Widowed. She lost her confidant, her partner, her entire future. Season 15 saw her going through the motions, a ghost in her own life. She put on a brave face for Lindy. She continued her work with troubled horses, and she held the family together. But the audience saw the deep-seated sorrow that never left her eyes. Amy stopped saying Ty's name aloud, but his presence lingered in every corner of the ranch. Despite Jack and Lou's gentle attempts to guide her through her grief, Amy kept it locked away. While her family found ways to move forward, she remained anchored to the past, emotionally suspended in time. By season 18, Lindy was older, her questions about her father more frequent and poignant. Amy always met them with warmth and love, but a part of her fractured every time. There were quiet, late-night visits to Ty's resting place, where she'd simply stand in the moonlight, the silence speaking volumes. The showrunners knew those scenes needed no score. Amy's silent vigil was a symphony of grief. In the promotional clips for season 19, a subtle shift was noticeable. Amy seemed a little less burdened, a flicker of her old smile returning. Viewers started to buzz with speculation. Was she finally beginning to emerge from the shadow of her loss? Was she considering new beginnings? Or had she simply become more adept at masking her pain? A single shot from the teaser became an obsession for fans. Amy, by the familiar barn, freezing mid-stride as if she'd seen an apparition. That single frame was seared into the collective consciousness of the fandom long before the episode premiered. The premiere itself started with no fanfare, just the serene beauty of the ranch at dawn, horses grazing, the sky painted in soft colors. Amy was methodically grooming Spartan, her movements calm and practiced. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in her periphery made her pause. She turned her head, her expression shifting from peace to stunned disbelief, the brush slipping from her grasp. The camera held on her face as her eyes widened and her lips trembled. The world seemed to hold its breath. That one silent, drawn-out moment sent the fan base into a tailspin. What did she see? A memory? A stranger? Or could it possibly be him? After so many years of heartache and silent endurance, the audience was plunged back into the depths of Amy's love story. The carefully constructed walls she had built around her heart began to crumble. See? It was a stark reminder that some loves are too powerful to be ended by death. For Amy, that love had never been buried. It was a constant, quiet hum beneath the surface of her life, waiting for a reason to break through. And when it finally did, every single person watching felt the shockwave. Oh, the moment felt like an eternity. As she stood frozen beside Spartan, her hand hovering over the horse's coat, her entire being was focused on a figure standing by the old fence post. The very spot where Ty used to stand with his morning coffee, watching the sun illuminate the land he loved. There was no score, only the sound of the wind moving through the grass. And it was him, Ty Borden. He didn't look a day older, nor was he transparent or ethereal. He looked solid, real, exactly as she remembered him on his last good day, wearing the worn jacket she kept folded in a cedar chest upstairs. His hands were relaxed at his sides, his gaze fixed solely on her. He wasn't looking at the ranch or the horse. He was looking at Amy. It felt as if the universe had folded in on itself. Amy forgot to breathe, her lips parted, but no words formed. Spartan sensed the shift, nudging her gently, but she was immovable. Her world had compressed to that single, impossible sight. The man she had held as he died, the man she had buried, the loss that had redefined her entire existence. He was standing right there. The show didn't offer any explanation. There was no dream sequence filter or dramatic music. The camera remained intimately focused on Amy's face. Her expression was a storm of confusion, her mind refusing to accept what her heart instantly recognized. Slowly, she willed her feet to move, one step and then another. But as she moved, he gave a small, slow nod, a gesture she knew better than her own heartbeat. It was a look of peace, of love, and of farewell. And then he was gone. The fence post stood empty, the air still and silent. Amy let out a ragged gasp, blinking hard, her eyes darting around, hoping, praying he would reappear. He didn't. The moment was over, leaving fans utterly breathless. Was it a vision? A memory so potent it projected itself onto the world? The brilliance of the scene was its ambiguity, forcing Amy and the audience to question the nature of reality and love. What was most gut-wrenching was her composure. Amy didn't collapse or scream. She just stood there, her body trembling, staring at the empty space where he had been, her heart hammering against her ribs. She whispered a single word, too soft for the microphone to catch, perhaps just for him, Ty. This wasn't just a cameo for the fans. It was a masterful stroke of storytelling because it was never about whether Ty was truly there in body. It was about what his appearance meant for Amy's soul, about the grief she had carried for so long finally transforming into something else, something transcendent. Heartland proved once again that it doesn't need grand gestures to captivate its audience. All it took was Amy, an old fence post, and the impossible fleeting return of the man she would always love. Amy didn't run. She didn't break down in a storm of tears. Her reaction was quieter, yet infinitely more powerful. She remained perfectly still, her spirit caught between the world she knew and the memory that felt more real than anything. After his image vanished, she slowly walked to the fence post. She didn't just touch it, she traced the weathered grain of the wood where he had stood. Her fingers searched for some residual warmth, some impossible proof, but the wood was cool from the morning air. Still, she didn't pull away. Amy's reaction was a quiet, internal earthquake. Her breathing was unsteady. Her shoulders shook with the force of her contained emotions, a tremor of profound heartbreak and love. Her eyes, now shimmering with unshed tears, scanned the horizon as if she could will him back into existence. So many years had passed, but in that moment, the loss felt brand new. She took a step back, her hand falling from the fence, and leaned heavily against Spartan, the horse being the only solid thing in her spinning world. Spartan, who had been with her through everything, nudged her head, a silent offering of comfort that finally broke her composure. A single tear escaped and traced a path down her cheek. It was quiet, honest, and utterly real. It wasn't just a tear of grief. It was a tear of longing, of disbelief, and of a strange emerging peace. Amy couldn't be sure if she'd seen a ghost or if her own heart had conjured him. But it felt too vivid, too clear, too filled with his unwavering love to be a simple memory. As she stood there, her gaze fell upon a small crevice in the old wooden post. Tucked inside was something that didn't belong, a small, worn leather pouch. Her breath caught. With trembling fingers, she pulled it free. It was real, tangible. Inside, she found a small, intricately carved wooden feather, its edges worn smooth, and a single folded piece of paper. She knew the carving instantly. It was his work, but she had never seen this piece before. Unfolding the note with shaking hands, she read 3 words written in his familiar script: "Keep the faith." The world tilted on its axis. Later, when she walked into the farmhouse, Lou took one look at her pale face and asked, "Amy, are you okay?" Amy slowly opened her hand, showing her the feather and the note. "I saw him," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion, "and he left this." Lou stared, speechless, her eyes wide with the impossible truth of it. There was no further explanation needed. A sacred silence filled the room. The next day, Amy drove to Ty's grave. She didn't weep this time. She knelt, placing the wooden feather gently on the stone. "You came back," she said softly, a statement of fact, not just feeling. But how? Amy's reaction wasn't about being trapped in the past anymore. It was about accepting a mystery that connected her past to her future. That single vision and the impossible gift he'd left behind didn't trap her in her grief. It set her on a new path. A real smile touched her lips as she stood, a smile that said, "I will always love you, and now I have to understand this last message from you." It was this profound mixture of mystery and comfort that left the audience in awe. Healing isn't always about letting go. Sometimes it's about receiving one last message that changes everything, reminding you that you're strong enough to face the future without breaking. It wasn't just Amy questioning what happened. All over the world, viewers were rewinding, analyzing the frame where he stood, their minds racing. It was undeniably Thai, but the how and the why were now a tangible mystery. The show offered no easy answers, presenting the scene with stark realism, and that made it all the more powerful, because the tangible object suggested something beyond a simple vision. Heartland has always been rooted in emotional realism, but it has also allowed for moments where love and memory defy easy explanation. Ty's appearance and the object he left behind walk that fine line between the spiritual and the physical, making the moment unforgettable. Some fans theorized it was a final gift arranged by Ty before his death and left with someone he trusted to deliver it at the right moment. When Amy was finally ready, it wasn't a haunting, it was a carefully planned final goodbye, a final hello, but others pointed to the sheer impossibility of it. The timing was too perfect, coinciding with her emotional shift, and Spartan's reaction suggested he sensed a living presence. The fact that Amy was wide awake, not lost in thought, made it feel like a true event. Could the writers be hinting at something more complex? A story hidden for years? As unbelievable as it sounded, the discovery of the note and feather gave new life to theories that Ty's story wasn't completely over. The brief return of Graham Wardle opened a floodgate of questions. Was this a one-time event or the beginning of unraveling a long-hidden secret? The showrunner's silence on the matter only amplified the speculation. And then there was Amy's expression. It wasn't just shock, but profound recognition, the kind that comes from a truth that settles deep in your bones. That kind of connection, now with a physical token, doesn't happen without reason. Heartland has always honored the complexities of love. Ty's appearance wasn't a gimmick. It was a message. It said that some bonds are unbreakable, that some people walk with you forever, and that love can show up in the most unexpected ways, not to pull you back, but to give you a map for the road ahead. So, is Ty alive? That's not the question. The right question is, what does this final message mean for the life Amy will live now? For Amy, the answer was there in the carved feather, in the note, in the impossible moment by the fence. He was with her, and he always would be. But now he had given her one last piece of himself to hold. The moment the episode concluded, the internet erupted. The secret had been kept perfectly. No one was prepared for the emotional impact. Hashtag Borden's Feather and hash Heartland Mystery were trending globally. Social media became a massive collective gasp of shock, grief, and excitement. Fans posted reaction videos, their voices trembling as they tried to process what they had witnessed. One viral tweet, showing a screenshot of the feather in the note, simply said, "He left her a sign." It garnered millions of interactions within hours. Reddit threads became hubs of intense detective work. Fans analyzed the handwriting on the note, debated the type of wood used for the feather, and theorized who could have possibly placed it there. The detail of Spartan reacting to Ty's presence was re-examined, now seen as proof that something physical and real had occurred. One of the most touching posts came from a widower who wrote, "My wife used to leave me notes in unexpected places." Seeing Ty's final message to Amy, it broke me and healed me all at once. It's the how that keeps love alive. That single comment opened a floodgate of similar stories, transforming the Heartland fandom into a space for shared experience and healing. Instagram was filled with side-by-side images, Ty carving wood in an early season, the other of the feather in Amy's hand. The narrative was no longer just about Amy's grief, but about a love story so powerful it could send a message across time. Fans now saw breadcrumbs everywhere in previous seasons, speculating this mystery had been planned for years. Fan artists were inspired, creating art not of a ghostly reunion, but of Amy discovering the note, her face illuminated by a faint light from the fence post. The art reflected the new theme, not just love and loss, but a final, beautiful mystery. Even the cast reacted to the new twist. Amber Marshall posted a photo of just the carved feather in her hand with the caption, "Keep the faith." Graham Wardle remained quiet, but his silence now felt like he was protecting a sacred secret. YouTube was flooded with theory videos, with creators trying to unravel the puzzle of the pouch. The scene drew in legions of new viewers, captivated by a mystery that transcended the show itself. Because everyone understands the desire for one last sign, one final message from someone they've lost. In the end, the scene didn't just bring back Ty, it gave Amy and the fans a new purpose. It reminded them that the heart of Heartland lies in those quiet, profound mysteries that mirror the deepest questions of life itself. Ty's appearance and his impossible gift didn't just stir a memory, it opened a door. For the first time since he died, she wasn't just looking back at their past, she was holding a piece of it that pointed toward the future. The question is no longer just if she can live without him, but how she will live with this final, beautiful puzzle he left for her. Amy has been in a state of arrested development, her life full of duties but empty of personal progression. She has been a mother, a daughter, a healer, but not fully herself. She held onto his memory like an anchor, keeping her tethered to their shared past. But this event wasn't an anchor, it was a sail. Ty's message wasn't one of sorrow, but of inspiration. A feeling she hadn't known in years, purpose. It was as if he came back not to say goodbye, but to say, your story isn't over. He wanted her to live fully, and now he had given her a reason to start. Amy faces a choice. She can let the mystery remain a mystery, or she can follow where it leads. She can embrace the idea that healing isn't about forgetting, but about actively engaging with the love that remains. Lindy is old enough now to understand a quest, a story. Amy can now show her daughter that love doesn't end, it transforms, leaving clues and signs that you can carry with you. That strength isn't just enduring pain, it's about having the courage to follow your heart, even when it leads to the unknown. This also reframes the question of future relationships. Is she ready for someone new? Maybe not yet. Because her new relationship is with this mystery, this final chapter of her story with Ty. Anyone new would have to understand that she is a woman on a beautiful, sacred quest. The debate is no longer if she should move on, but how this quest will help her do so. This gives her journey a new, active direction. After finding the feather, Amy is different. The weight on her shoulders has been replaced by a quiet determination in her eyes. It's subtle but clear. A burden has been lifted, and a purpose has taken its place. This isn't the final chapter of Amy and Ty's love story. It's an epilogue she gets to live out, a story that honors everything they